An enabler that we all still need to work on. I mean, this is one you can just write down and suddenly it occurs. And it has to do with the inspiration or the motivation of individuals to bring up new and different ideas. And the culture of NASA as an organization is very steeped in process and lessons learned tied into this is how we've done it in the past, and these all make sense for the right appropriate physics reasons and business reasons because we're a federal agency and so forth. I have heard people say, you know, Pat, I don't feel good or I don't feel comfortable bringing up new ideas because they're never listened to, or they're never incorporated, or they're never taken into account in the discussion. And I hate to hear that. And I think it's incumbent upon leaders in the organization as well as fellow employees to figure out a way to at least get those differences of opinion heard. They may not all be incorporated, and that's no different in a federal agency as it is in private industry. Not every startup with a great idea ends up being a great company. The same thing happens in a federal agency, and the same thing happens in NASA, is that there are certainly fountains of great ideas within the agency and our commercial providers, our commercial partners, great ideas. Giving airtime to those great ideas in whatever forums, given, for example, the Human Spaceflight Forum that we're in, giving airtime to those different ideas is important. I think the second thing that would really go a long way in shifting our culture a little bit to being more open to these things is to heavily advertise and heavily broadcast when a new idea gets enough legs that it gets implemented or that it gets tested. You know, the hypothesis is formed, and NASA management and NASA programs and NASA processes see it with just enough possibility that we make a big deal out of it. And by big deal, a simple letter, just a public acknowledgement, just an acknowledgement that, you know, this is an idea that was brought up in one of our interchanges, and it was communicated to the workforce, and the workforce kind of ran with it. The technical team ran with that design change. The business team, the human resources office, ran with a different approach to competency management or to hiring and retaining the best and brightest. So one, make it comfortable, enable settings where new ideas can be brought forward. And there are great examples of that throughout the agency today. But the second part of it is the 1 in 10, the 2 in 10 or whatever that have really stand a chance of making an impact. Could be to a business process, and it could be simple, but they really stand a chance of making an impact. We need to give airtime to that. We need to broadcast that. We need to promote that. We need to talk about that. Not in a, hey, look what we did sort of way, but as in, we are open to innovation. We are open to new ideas. And here's an example. And here's an example. And here's an example. Because I think it happens that much. And our culture is shifting in that direction. I truly believe that. But that is one thing we as leaders in organizations can focus on, is making a big deal out of that little idea.